We at Soccer Night in Detroit are saddened by the loss of Liverpool star Diogo Jota. Jota was killed in a car accident with his brother Andres Silva yesterday in Spain. He leaves behind a wife who he recently married and three children. He was an integral part of Liverpool's 2025 Premier League Championship and also played a part in Portugal's win in the UEFA Nations League. We express our deepest condolences to his family, the Liverpool fans and staff, and the greater football community. You'll never walk alone.
Detroit City all year has been, putting up a fight, coming back, being humble, being bold. The first couple games of the season, it looked like we were going to be in for a long season. Lost to Ann Arbor, come back home to take on Union FC Macomb, end up drawing there. And for the most part, it was a struggle, but they fought back. They fought back and fought back hard. And the resiliency of this Detroit City squad helped them propel themselves into the playoffs. Thanks to, even though they lost to AFC Ann Arbor at home, they came back with two big road victories and coupled with an Ann Arbor loss last Sunday to get them into that playoffs. Would the intestinal fortitude help them along the way going into today's matchup in Pittsburgh as they took on a team that was undefeated in the regular season themselves, Hsmmer FC, on let's just say it, a beautiful day in Pittsburgh. Let's get to the highlights right there. Overlooking the Monongahela and the Ohio rivers and all that stuff, the three rivers of Pittsburgh. 8th minute of play here. Samantha, Detroit City would take into midfield. Interception happened. Pass over to Samantha Urbach, who would blast it past Allison LaPointe, and we are at 1-0 in favor of Hsmmer. 18th minute of play. Samantha Urbach would strike again for Hsmmer.
Hsmmer putting down the hammer in this first half. It's 2-0 in the 18th minute.
79th minute of play here.
Hannah go with it, but this is one you need
would take
right here.
This free kick coming up here, and she would deliver it.
Look at she was taking this kick. It's can't quite tell from here.
And like we talked about, they needed that one right there. That is a perfect ball.
Detroit City
into the middle of that box.
One goal closer at 2-1, but in the 90th minute of play, Detroit City would have an opportunity to tie
back in play
at this point. Ball comes from midfield here, and
not been told how much stoppage time. We will see.
Looked like a good setup at the time. However, second touch, Ella Kane puts it in the back of the net.
Oh, there's opportunity! It goes in the back of the net, and we are all equal.
Their season is over with. And,
no, we are.
Frustrating. End of the season for Detroit City FC, and you can honestly say it was a great effort by Hsmmer this afternoon to basically hold off the defending Central Conference champions and eliminate them. But it came too early, too often. King's Hsmmer put the pedal to the metal in the first, I'd say about 30 minutes of play there, and then Detroit City just kept clawing their way back, eventually getting the goal from Amanda Britton. Yes, Amanda Britton, not Amanda Brittain, as some announcers would call that during the match today. But I digress. Needless to say, it was just a flat out. It was still, despite being behind the 8 ball, Detroit just kept fighting and fighting and fighting. 2 offsides calls would hamper them. One to put it at 2-1 earlier in the match, that got called off before Britton's goal, and then once Britton got the goal, Detroit had a chance to tie things up in the 90th minute, and that was to no avail, unfortunately, and Detroit City is eliminated from the competition. As for King's Hsmmer opponent, however, we'll take you now to the highlights of this one. Pittsburgh hosting the darlings of the USL here. We'll start things off here for we'll start things off. It was a hard fought. Pittsburgh tried to fend them off as best they could. However, in the 43rd minute, Minnesota would regroup. Sage Wims off the header, puts it into the back of the net, and that would be a 1-0 lead for the Aurora. A foul inside the box occurred in the 73rd minute of play. Natalie Tavana puts it in the back of the net, puts Minnesota up by a score of 2-0, and she was giving it to the Steel Army. Pittsburgh would have one more chance in the 80th minute, though, to no avail, and they fought hard, but nonetheless, Pittsburgh would fall to Minnesota Aurora at Highmark Stadium. Minnesota advances to the conference final, first appearance since 2023. They come away with the victory this afternoon by a score of 2-0, and that means King's Hsmmer FC takes on Minnesota Aurora Sunday night, 7 o'clock. Catch that game on Sports Engines if you so choose. And, well, of course, you want to support the women's game, of course, no matter what. But one thing I want to talk about, though, is the the difference in the presentations of the match today. I want to do a little segment about that because when we had the match, obviously it was a triple header. Because being in Pittsburgh had a match tonight. We'll reveal that result tomorrow night. As far as that goes, we're not going to give a spoiler alert as that one. And if you want a spoiler alert, go find them. You'll know by then. But Pittsburgh had 3 matches today. Okay, the crew for the Pittsburgh Minnesota match was there for the match between Detroit City and King's Hsmmer. King's Hsmmer and Detroit City got relegated to the National Soccer Network. Now, if you're familiar with the National Soccer Network, we've used their stuff before in the highlights, and of course they're based out of Shelby Township. My gripe about the announcing today with in terms of it, and I heard it a lot. I was reading the Discord. People were texting me. My daughter was texting me about it, and and shout out to you. Great work this year, by the way, Sam. You did a fantastic job as far as helping us out, especially with the last 2 matches with the camera work there. You can see it's one of the highlight package from Kalamazoo. Great work there by Sam, and thank you for being a part of the crew. You are now a member of the crew. You're part of the family now. Thank you, Sam. My wonderful daughter helping me out there in Kalamazoo, and a little bit there in Toledo as well. She took a couple of videos as well out in Toledo. So great, very grateful for that. But going back to the subject here, a lot of people were very upset with the quality of the stream this morning. For the first 30 minutes, or for the first, 10 minutes of the game, it was in silence. It was like nobody was there. And it's like the guys that were doing the call for the National Soccer Network, one was based out in Shelby Township, the headquarters of National Soccer Network, and the other one was based in Grand Rapids. I was like, oh, there's a game today? Oh, we got okay, we're gonna skip our 4th of July, blah 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 blah. So they finally got back on the air, probably about the 13th, 14th minute or so of action. And when you have a rampant fan base, or when you have a involved fan base as Detroit City, that's quite unacceptable. Quite unacceptable, and a lot of people were very mad about the stream. Also, the mispronunciation of names. I alluded to that earlier with Amanda Britton when he scored a goal. They mentioned her name twice. They did it the right way, but then they went back and called her Amanda Brittain. That's embarrassing. That's embarrassing. I mean, grant you, okay, I screw up. I did ramble on when I was trying to get to Pittsburgh. We screw up all the time. We're not perfect. I mean, I'll admit it, and Steve will admit it too. We're trying to be professional, but we're just amateurs at it as well. But I mean, these guys are supposed to be professionals that are doing this, and this is a channel in which you're providing soccer for the masses, okay? And you've got you've got deals worked out with clubs such as Union FC Macomb, for example, and Midwest United. In fact, I'll go on with the Midwest United stream. I mean, I was lucky to get Sophia Romine's goal on my own on that night when I traveled to Grand Rapids to watch them play at the Midwest United Soccer Complex. The guy that was covering the game for NSN was doing it from Indianapolis. He was talking about the NBA Finals instead of the game. And then he would do like a box, he'd do dual action or whatever it is. One game in one box, one game in the other box, of a game between Toledo Villa and Union FC Macomb. Like, okay, those two teams were playing spoiler. We're supposed to play spoiler for Detroit City in the last couple games of the season. Why are you coming to match, which is basically dead rubber, and putting it into a match, putting it alongside a match and trying to get double coverage of that? That I couldn't understand either. It was just the fact that the quality today, the quality beforehand, and I hate to go on a rant about this, but I mean, it's like I understand you're trying to provide a service. There's a lot of things that you can do there, but today had to have been the straw that broke the camel's back. A lot of Detroit City supporters were ticked off at the coverage today. Mispronunciation of names, as I mentioned, the Amanda Britton thing. They kept calling Kayla Addison Kayla Anderson. It's like, you can look up the Detroit City roster online. You can look it up in Twitter. You could look it up on Blue Sky. Heck, you could go to the DCFC app and look it up. It's right there in front of you. And to think that these guys were calling games for Union FC Macomb and Midwest United, it harkens me back to the days. Remember the guy that used to call the games for for California United, for Cal United and the LA Force, otherwise known as the Dalai Lama of soccer. Yeah, it harkened me to that. It harkened me back to that. And if you're gonna, when you're trying to promote a product such as USL, and I'll tell you this much right now, like I said, we're not professionals. We're trying to do our thing with Soccer Night in Detroit, and I'm gonna do it right now. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. I don't like doing that when I'm doing these things, but like and subscribe. Anyway, back to that. When you're trying to do a thing, when you're trying to provide a service and trying to get things going, you gotta be somewhat trying to be professional, most of the time. I don't think they did a great job today as far as the coverage goes, and I think it was a disservice to us. In retrospect, though, give it up for Jared Mackey. Jared Mackey has busted his balls for this club, and he did a fantastic job doing the games for us. I wish he was down there in Pittsburgh today. I'm sure he was down there in Pittsburgh, but I don't know. He might be with the club too, because I think they're in Hartford, or no, they're in Oakland. So he busted his tail off for this club, doing the games for us. I mean, he even had Matt Sheldon in the booth. Him. Most of the time, it was him and Sean Grogan. They did a fantastic job all year long. Shout out to him. And he's done a lot. And of course a lot for us in the media area at in Detroit City SC. He's done a lot for us and made players available. And of course, shout out to them. I'll give my shout outs to the rest of the game. But like I said, he does a fantastic job. The other game that I saw, I had that on my earbuds today while I was working. Nicely, professionally done by a USL crew. I think it was the same crew that was doing the game tonight at Hsmmer, the Pittsburgh New Mexico United game, and they did a fantastic job. And the pictures were brilliant. They were professionally done. Grant you, yes, it was for the home team, and it looked like they balanced the coverage between both squads. I mean, they talk a little bit about Minnesota United. They talk about the Riveters a little bit. They did a fantastic job with the call. Great analysis throughout the game, and great highlight packages as well. You got to give it up to those guys. I mean, I tagged that Sports Engine Play, but I think it came from KDKA. I'm pretty sure it came from KDKA. But I tagged it Sports Engine Play because it appealed to both audiences as far as the commercial content in the contest. The sponsorship, of certain things during the contest. It's like, this is sponsored by the Auroras, blah, 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 or this is sponsored by Riveters, blah, blah, blah. That type of deal. The fair and balanced. It was more fair and balanced. It was more, it was a good production. It was a great production. It was and grant you, when you see a USL Championship game, say like on CBS or ESPN Plus, ESPN2, CBS Sports Network, Golazo Network, they put on a great production, 100% and everything. In fact, shout out to Neil Rule, who's already down in Fort Lauderdale, getting ready to do the game tomorrow night. Or shall we say almost tomorrow night, almost tonight, or rather, as I'm doing this video late. But like I said, I'm very disappointed in what NSN did today as far as the coverage of the Detroit City game. It should have been better, in my opinion. I think they probably would have been better off letting the guys from the that are doing the USL, or the guys that were doing the USL game tonight. One of them being Ricky Lopez. That's been fantastic analyst. We've heard him before with Neil on some calls, and Joe Malfa has worked with him as well on some of the calls of Detroit City games. Last season, as a matter of fact, I can remember them doing one match. I believe they did a match against Tampa. I'm pretty sure they did that. I know Ricky's worked with Neil for a couple matches. Usually it's Ross Davenport when he's down there, but they do a fantastic job as far as that goes. But enough about television rantings and all that stuff. But yeah, like I said, great job. But shout out to the guys over at KDKA, whoever provided the feed today for that Minnesota. They did a fantastic job as far as that goes. So, and they do a wonderful job for all the games in the USLW. It was quite surprising to see that USLW logo and the USL music along with that for those games too. And you know, they did a great job there. But in closing, NSN, you need to do better. You need to do better. If you're serving the soccer community, especially if fans of Detroit City FC are watching, you got to do better. You got to do better than what you did today and what you have done in the past. Now that Union FC Macomb Detroit City game a couple weeks ago, that was okay. It was an okay broadcast. I used some clips from that match, and like I said, you did an okay job. But recently, it's been, you know, subpar at best. Got to do better. So, but enough of that rant. I've gone about 10 minutes about that rant about the broadcasting today, as far as that goes. And I mean, okay, it was a fill time. But I want to devote the last few minutes though to Detroit City FC's women's squad. I mean, it's been a fun deal following these ladies around all throughout the state of Michigan and even northern Ohio, watching games as far out as Grand Rapids, as close as Ann Arbor for me. I mean, I'm in Fenton. I mean, that was about my closest trip there, covering them at Holloway Field the first game of the season. But I've been to every venue that that is in part of the Great Lakes Division, and they have been wonderful, wonderful, wonderful people. And shout out all the way up and down. And I want to shout out the staff of this club. I mean, there's not enough. I mean, there's a lot you can say about these people that that are a part of this. Part of this organization, and I tell you, I'm very grateful for what they have, done as far as done for us. Whether it's been interviews after the match or prior, I mean, not so much prior to the match. I don't really like interviewing guys, but helping us out as far as access to the club. Another shout out to Jared Mackey for allowing us to do that as well. But the great staff and that has been a part of the part of this club. I mean, from Dave Dwahey on down, Danny Evans. It's just the fact that this has been, like I said, a tremendous group of people that are, as part of, the coaching of this staff, the coaching, Nate as well. I can't think of his last name offhand, but a lot of all the guys that are involved in the coaching staff and all that, and all the players as well, have been very, very, very friendly, forthcoming, and all that. Very grateful for them as well as. Far as we did, several interviews this year. Hannah Crum's come up Hannah Crum's done an interview with Steve. Hannah did an interview with me last week in Toledo. That was fun there, along with Ella Carolac. I'm remembering that. I am remembering that. She is not Carolac, she's Carolac. And then I can remember Dave in the background going, "Wordplay!" One of my favorite moments of the year, and there's been a lot of favorite moments when it comes to these ladies, and it's been a fun ride. Like I said, I thank everybody that's been on board with Detroit City FC's women's squad throughout the years. I mean, although, yeah, I said it on the Faithful page, and I think I said it as a one of my status there. You feel sad because it's over, but be happy because it happened. And I said that last year to to an effect, because after we lost to Colorado Storm in the national semifinals, and the disappointment of the moment when you lose at when the final whistle blows and you lose 2-1 to and lose a chance to play in the national semifinal would have been a key word for would have been down in Cary, North Carolina. It would have been a great deal down there if that were to happen down there. Maybe a Friday, Saturday. I think we played Friday night against North Carolina FC. That it didn't have the second game on a Saturday. Oh, that would have been wonderful, but unfortunately it didn't happen that way. But it is what it is. But like I said, you could see the fire, you could see the hunger, you could see the desire of this club, and these gals just poured it out, no matter what the lineup was, no matter how iterations that Dave had to make to accommodate this this person getting into the lineup while this person was sitting out. He did a wonderful job as far as getting those things together. And there's been a couple times he had to do his job over at University League as well, and shout out to him for being a state finalist there. So he's a damn good coach, and like I said, he's one of the OGs, part of this club. He played for this club. He's an owner of this club. And I'll tell you what, though, the guy has done a fantastic job. And these ladies have, they really, like I said, I can't think of a better coach to have as far as these ladies have been. Dave has been great. Danny Evans has been great. Look at what she did for the indoor squad, and I think it was a proliferation of several Detroit City players getting together and saying, "Hey, we want to play some indoor ball." Next thing you know, they're playing in national finals and all that stuff, and it's just like these women stick together. They like to play hard. And they like to have fun. That's the other main thing. These girls love to have fun, and it's just it's a pleasure to be around them. It's a pleasure to work with them as far with interviews and stuff like that. Big thank you to you all. You made this guy a lot. You made this guy happy. Let's just say that. You made me happy. You made Steve happy as well throughout the year, and I can't thank you enough. It's been a great hell of a ride, and shout out to y'all. You had a great season, and don't hang your heads, ladies. You guys have plenty to be proud of. Central Conference or Great Lakes Division champs for the second year in a row, and you know what? The road or the future is always getting brighter with this team. To see bigger and better things, and the legacy will live on yet again next season. I hope to see another. I would love to see another 2 team. That would be great. We got so many players on the roster. We could have a 2 team play in like some lower league, play them in UWS or something like that, so that we can go back up to Flint and watch games up there again. That was fun. I loved going up to Flint just to watch them. I missed them this year, even though they went back to UWS. But once again, like I said, kudos to you, ladies. You deserve everything. And my shot, love you all. We'll miss you. Looking forward to fun in the wintertime, as always. So, but it's getting late. It's been a long day for me. I've been going at this thing since 10 o'clock yesterday morning with 1 hour of sleep. So between jobs and whatnot. But got Oakland Roots. Be on the lookout for soccer night in Detroit coming up prior to that match. Late night football in the East Bay area at the Oakland Alameda County Coliseum. My best Howard Cosell impression right there. Late night soccer coming up at tomorrow night on the usual outlets, WKBD Channel 50, ESPN Plus, or no, not ESPN Plus, CBS Sports Golazo, 2DN, and also on the CBS Detroit.com website. So looking forward to that, though. But disappointing day, but you know what? The future's bright for this squad, and I see better things to come. And you know what? You can't hang your head. too long, but you can put a smile on your face to see what we've seen this year, and they've done a fantastic job. Coming from adversity is what I said at the beginning of this broadcast or this show, and I'll tell you what, these gals have done a great job, and you know what, I'm very, very grateful for it as always, and looking forward to more down the roads. Back to the men, as you know, and we'll do it again tomorrow night. Steve and I got that recorded on Wednesday. We'll pop that out sometime this afternoon or whatever it is prior to the game against Oakland. Until we meet again, folks, keep your feet in the ground. Keep reaching for the galaxy. And once again, ladies, thank you and Coach Dave Leahy and his staff, thank you for another wonderful season of Detroit football. And of course, what we say around here is forever for all.